Good Friday evening to you. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Thanks for joining More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. The NFL Draft is closing in Thursday, 8 o'clock. They will begin selecting in the 2020 NFL Draft, and cleveland.com will have you covered. A special draft night edition of More Sports and Less Levine. Les Levine and I will be on set. We'll be joined by the entire cleveland.com reporting staff for the Cleveland Browns, Mary Kay Cabot, Dan Lobby, Ellis Williams, and Doug Lesmerises will all join us to break down the NFL Draft. Right now we're going to talk a little bit about mock drafts. Mel Kiper released another of his mock drafts, and let's take a look at it. The consensus 1 and 2 are Joe Burrow and Chase Young, and then Kiper has the Lions going with Jeff Okudah. The Giants taking the Swiss Army knife defender Isaiah Simmons. Justin Herbert has now jumped ahead of Tua in this mock draft. The Dolphins taking him at 5. Tristan Wirfs, a tackle the Browns are interested in, obviously, off the board at 8. And Jerry Jeudy, outstanding wide receiver, is who Mel Kiper believes the Jaguars will go with at number 9. He has the Browns taking Mekhi Becton, tackle from Louisville. Becton, 6'7", 364 pounds, mammoth guy, big-time run blocker, really athletic, big guy. Some have him ranked as the top tackle in the class. Kiper explains what he likes about him and also some of the things you have to be aware of with Mekhi Becton.
Well, I think that in terms of the first round, it would be Becton, the left tackle. Andrew Thomas from Georgia, his name's going to come up, but it's a little high for me that early. So I think those would be the two possibilities if you look at the offensive tackle spot, Becton or Andrew Thomas. So, Becton is a guy who is huge and has great feet, and he ran 5.10. Now the thing is going to be his weight. Is his weight going to be at 360, 365? He was with 364 at the combine, or will he be 380, 385? And then all of a sudden he becomes a right tackle, and there are even issues there. So he's got to maintain. The biggest concern with Becton is maintaining the proper weight to maximize all that talent. And if he does, he can be a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle. If he doesn't, it'll be a bit of a disappointment. So that's really up to Mekhi Becton and the organization you go to make sure that happens. Jedrick Wills is safer because he's a right tackle who I think can play left tackle. It's a guy very athletic. You look at the movement he gets in the run game. He's a key guy for their running game. He very rarely let up any pressures. He keeps that frame between the defensive end and the quarterback. He's a very skilled, very innately smart pass blocker. He just has a knack. He cuts off angles. He's really good. When you watch him on tape, he's impressive. That's why I think he could be a left tackle, even though he didn't play. He's 6'4 plus, 312 pounds. He's got really long arms. He tested well. He's very athletic. So I think the versatility of a guy like Tristan Wirfs to have to play left tackle in a few games when Alaric Jackson got hurt really helped him. And I think it showed some teams that he could maybe be a left tackle. The way Wills played and then the way he tested showed people he could maybe be a left tackle. So, and then you have Andrew Thomas and Becton, who also did play left tackle and played it very well for the most part. I mean, Thomas is a little linear. He plays a little high at times, but, coaching will correct that. And so that's why he allowed some inside pressure. Thomas did. Becton's got to keep his weight where it needs to be. I think Josh Jones is intriguing coming out of Houston. Robert Hunt could be a right tackle or guard coming out of Louisiana Lafayette. Jonah Jackson's a guard who's at Ohio State, formerly at Rutgers. I think he's a good football player, as is Tani Moody, if you can stay healthy and durable from Fresno State. But to go to the tackle position, I think there are some guys depth-wise. Like I say, Matt Peart, Connecticut. A guy that I think is very underrated is Tyree Phillips from Mississippi State. 6'5", 330-pounder with incredibly long arms. Love the tape on this kid. He slips. He can slide along. He doesn't lose his balance. He bends. He deals with secondary moves very effectively. I really like Tyree Phillips as a third or fourth round pick. I didn't put him in the 2 in the second round mock. I think that's a little high. But third or fourth round with Tyree Phillips, you're getting yourself a really good bookend.
Again, Mel Kiper Jr. breaking down the tackle class. He has the Browns selecting Mekhi Becton at number 10. Important to note, they do not account for trades, and there are some rumors that the Browns could be trading back, and won't know that until draft night. Time to step aside, take a quick time out. When we return on the other side of the break, we'll take a look at another mock draft from a nationally known guy who has a lot of respect. Daniel Jeremiah from NFL.com and the NFL Network has the Browns going in a little bit different direction? We'll have that straight ahead when more sports and less Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition returns. Stay with us.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
Got your Ohio Lottery pick 3, I see.
Yup. Those glasses are hip.
Hip? Most people think I'm a square. But what's wrong with that? A box bet can increase your chances of winning. And what is a box? A square. There are so many ways to play. They're just coming out the wazoo. Oh, shucks. Look at me yammering on. Put a lid in it, Picky Ricky. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to more sports and less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition NFL Draft Thursday, and we continue to look at what some of the national experts expect. Now, Daniel Jeremiah is a guy from NFL Network, NFL.com, that has worked in several front offices over the course of his career in the NFL, now a TV guy. So let's take a look at his mock draft. Again, Burrows and Chase Young 1-2 consensus pretty much with everybody. He has Okudah going 3 to the Lions. Then take a look at this. Tristan Wirfs 4. Herbert and Tua going 5 and 6, but Wills, another offensive tackle, the Browns kind of like going to the Cardinals. The Jaguars taking Becton, so he has 3 of those tackles going off the board, and he has the Browns taking the Swiss Army knife defender that everybody seems to be intrigued by with his talents in Isaiah Simmons. Simmons is a guy who has a unique skill set without question, and Jeremiah feels he has the skill set that a defensive player in today's NFL game must have to be successful at the position he plays.
You see what we see here with Isaiah Simmons, where it allows you to keep your guys on the field and not get manipulated, where they can sub and get you in a look, and once they get you in a look, they're going to crank the tempo and they're going to isolate the guy that's out of position and go at him. Well, when you've got players with versatility, they have that ability to be able to cover a tight end, but yet somebody that can also hold up at the point of attack if you want to try and run it down their throats. Somebody that can cover in the slot, somebody that can drop back and play the deep half. It allows you to disguise your looks defensively, allows you to confuse quarterbacks, and allows you to match up with the athletes you're going to see. So those guys have never been more valuable. And, you know, one of the conversations that I've had over the last few years, and really even more so this year, is with the linebackers. It doesn't matter if you are an unbelievably instinctive player and you're tough and you're physical. If you cannot run, they can't hide you anymore. You're going to get exposed. So at that position, you have to lean towards athleticism. Becton is my 7th player overall. Wills is my 10th. I view that as kind of the top tier for me, those 2 guys. Then I think right behind them is Wirfs. He's my 13th player. And then Andrew Thomas is my 18th player. So I have 4 top 20 guys, in my opinion, but I think there's a little bit of separation between those. God didn't make many like this. I mean, he is the definition of a freak. He's to be that big and to still be able to move the way he does is incredible. And he dominates in the run game. In the pass game, even though he's still working through, some things technically, he's so big and so long, you can't get through him and you can't get around him. And I've had a chance to see some of the training stuff he's been doing down there. He's training with one of the best offensive line guys in the country, with Duke Manningweather, and the job he does out of Dallas. And you can see it in the video. It's just this kid getting more comfortable and getting better and better. So I think Jedrick Wills on day one, the first day of practice, is going to be ahead of Becton. But I think Becton, the upside is what puts him over the top for me. So he's my top guy. Jedrick Wills is just a natural knee bender who's very explosive. He can get himself in bad positions and find ways to recover with his athleticism. He played the right tackle spot there at Alabama. You've got a left-handed quarterback, so that makes sense. Put your best guy over there. I think he's got left tackle ability. I think he can kick over there no problem. And he's somebody in the run game, can uproot players. Again, just very explosive, very athletic player who I think he's a top 10 pick in just about any year, in my opinion. Tristan Wirfs, when I first watched him, I thought he was going to be a guard just because he had some issues oversetting. He got beat on a bunch of up and under moves, which worried me and concerned me a little bit. Then I thought he got better as the year went along. And then obviously the show that he put on at the combine, you see the athleticism there, and you say, okay, well, I know this guy's, he's got the ability to play better at tackle. So that's where I moved him back out, kept him at tackle. He's somebody that can really move people in the run game, but he's just got to be a little bit more patient in pass protection, continue to work and develop in that area. But again, he's somebody with tremendous upside. Andrew Thomas, he's just a big, powerful run blocker. He creates a lot of movement. When he gets his hands on you, he can really move you. He uproots guys, but I thought he was more of a one-track player. He struggled to adjust a little bit in space, and then in pass protection, if he can get out in front of you and stay square, he's fine. I did not see that elite level of foot quickness, and I thought when he sees some of the better speed rushers in the NFL, that could give him a little bit of trouble. So that's why I had him as the fourth guy.
Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network, NFL.com, breaking down some of the offensive linemen, and in his most recent mock draft has the Browns taking Isaiah Simmons, the defensive Swiss Army knife at number 10. On the other side of break, we're going to talk to a Louisville beat reporter who covered the Cardinals football team. He's going to tell us some interesting things about Mekhi Becton, the guy that is ranked by many as the best tackle in this draft, an offensive freak. And Cameron Teague, beat reporter from the Louisville Courier-Journal, will join us with his insights when more sports and less Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition returns. Stay with us right here on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes. To keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We've taken a look at a couple of mock drafts in advance of Thursday's NFL Draft. Browns with the 10th pick overall. Let's welcome in Cameron Teague Robinson, a beat reporter for the Louisville Courier-Journal, covers the Cardinals, so has a very good idea of Mekhi Becton. Cameron, appreciate the time. Tell me what comes to mind when I say Mekhi Becton. What do you think of?
Yeah, a powerful human being. I think he's 364 right now, 6'7". He was pushing 370 during the season, but just a very physical guy. He loves the physical side of the game, loves to throw people to the ground. I think you see even on tape, he loves to dive on people while they're trying to get up off the ground. Just kind of who he is. He was absolutely dominant last year for Louisville, and a big part of the reason their offense did so well.
What about the development? You know, we've heard he started 33 games, started for 3 years there. Have you kind of seen him grow into the player that he is now, one of the top-ranked tackles in this draft class?
Yeah, I think what you hear from a lot of people, obviously, when he was a freshman, he played right tackle. And he was a freshman All-American at right tackle, moved to left. And I think the biggest difference in what you talk to coaching staff and people around him this year is just how much more he's finishing plays. He was just absolutely dominant in the sense of, like, if somebody was in front of him, he was taking them out of the play. You see him take them to the sidelines, taking completely off the screen sometimes. He took that to another level. He started well in the opener against Notre Dame, and then really elevated it each week. Had a really good game against Clemson, and a dominant game against Syracuse. But I think that's where he got better the most last year, was just how physically imposing he could be against a defender.
As a beat reporter, you get a sense of what type of guys these guys are. Tell me a little bit about him, type of kid he is, type of guy he is, and what does he have that drive to be really good, a really good football player?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one thing nobody really questions with Mekhi is his work ethic. He came into the year, and to my surprise, wasn't a preseason All-ACC honoree, and I think he took that to heart. Really got to work, and like you just showed, he's the Jacob Blocking Trophy Award winner, best offensive lineman in the ACC. He wants to be the best player on the field, and every snap, every game, wants to win. And I tell this story to a lot of people. I tweeted it sometime during the middle of the season, or the back half of the season. He got hurt at Miami, and then the whole week people were trying to figure out if he was going to play or not, and we were interviewing his backup, and it's pouring rain outside, and everybody else is inside in the locker room already. Mekhi is standing outside supporting his teammate who's doing his first real interview with the media. That's a cool story. I don't think anybody has a bad thing to say about Mekhi. I think he's a great kid.
The one question that some of the quote-unquote draft experts say is, and really it's the only thing they can say, the only question a lot of them have is, can he stay at that 365 weight and not, balloon up and get even a little bit bigger? I mean, he's 6'7". That's a big guy. Do you have any of those concerns, or is that not something that, knowing who he is, that shouldn't really be a concern?
Yeah, not really. I think obviously with offensive linemen in general, you have that concern at times, especially when there's a long offseason. But I don't have that concern. He's been working hard really since this coaching staff got here last December to really kind of cut that weight. And if you look at him, that 364 doesn't look like fat. It's not jiggling. It's solid weight for him. So I would imagine he stays somewhere around that 364, under 370, because I think he knows he needs to stay at that to be at his best when he's on the field.
Now, Cameron, full disclosure, you are a Northeast Ohioan. You and I were talking. You grew up in Maple Heights. How excited would you be if he's there at 10 and the Browns get him? As a Browns fan, how excited would you be?
No, I'd be pretty excited. I remember going home for I didn't get a chance to go home for Christmas because I was covering the bowl game and went home after the New Year. And I was telling my uncles and my cousins, I was like, man, this guy – if he's there at 10, the Browns got to take him. I feel like he just fits. He's a dominant run blocker, fits well when you have Nick Chubb and those guys back there. And I think he fits in the run scheme if they want to run some play action. And that's a lot of what Louisville did last year. Play action, a lot of RPOs, and he didn't give up a sack off last season. So I think he fits really well. I mean, there's a lot of good tackles there, but if Mekhi's there at 10, my fingers would be crossed as a Browns fan that the Browns take him.
Well, Cameron Teague Robinson, we appreciate the time. Always good to talk to a Browns fan in a Northeast Ohioan. So thanks very much for the insight on Mekhi Becton, and we appreciate the time.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
All right. Again, that is Cameron Teague Robinson, Louisville's beat reporter, who couldn't say enough good things about Mekhi Becton, one of the guys the Browns are looking at with that 10th pick in the first round of the NFL draft. Time for us to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of break, Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter from cleveland.com, will join us. We'll talk a little bit about the draft and also about some of the things going on with the Browns. Will they trade up? Will they trade down? That's straight ahead. More sports and Les Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition will be right back. Stay with us.
Your garage flooring again. Cracked, uneven garage floors are dangerous. Thin paints and poly coatings you can do yourself are slippery, peel, and don't correct problems. Why pay for a floor that won't last? Only a professionally installed NatureStone garage floor is safe and corrects problems that paints can't. And NatureStone comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, so there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at naturestone.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. NFL Draft coming up Thursday night. It all starts at 8 o'clock. Want to remind you, we will have an NFL Draft special here on cleveland.com. Les Levine and I in studio. We will also be welcoming in all of the cleveland.com Browns reporters, Mary Kay Cabot, Doug Lesmerises, Ellis Williams, and a number of guests as well. And let's transition to the Cleveland Browns, and we will welcome in Ellis Williams, Cleveland Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com. Ellis, appreciate the time. We've heard from a couple of the national draft experts, if you will. The other thing that we're starting to hear, and this is not uncommon as the draft gets close, you're hearing that the Browns may be moving back, and two teams that they're kind of linked to. And it's interesting because they do have a history trading with the Atlanta Falcons. And, of course, Andrew Berry worked with the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are two teams tied to the Browns as potential candidates where they would trade back. This time of the year, the week before the draft, a lot of that goes out there. Do you believe any of that people are putting out there with the Browns trading back?
Yeah, look, we're at the time of year where one tweet can blow up and we can start talking about all these trade-ups, trade-downs type of thing. Here's what I do know. The Browns need a left tackle. People that I've talked to at the Combine and whatnot made it pretty clear that they're going to address left tackles. So now as we're talking about trading down, it's just a matter of when and where they're going to get that left tackle. Look, I trust these guys, the DePodestas who we had on the phone the other day, Andrew Berry, of course, Kevin Stefanski, to make the right decision. And if they're going to trade down, I'm sure it's for some assets and later picks, and they still think they're going to be able to get their guy. But I will say this, This is a historically top-heavy draft at left tackle with the top 4 we've been talking about this whole draft season. If the Browns leave this draft without one of those 4 guys, I'll be really confused. It's really that simple. So as long as they have their eye on one of those 4 and are confident they can get them by still moving down, then I'm cool with it. But just get one of the 4. It's that simple to me.
And when you talk of the 4, you're talking about Becton, Wills, Wirfs, and Andrew Thomas, correct? Those are the 4 that you're identifying?
Correct, yeah. The big dog on that.
Now, we heard from Daniel Jeremiah, a guy that, worked in a couple of NFL upper front offices, personnel departments, including the Browns, and he had the Browns going out and taking Isaiah Simmons. His explanation, which we heard earlier, is this is a guy that is the prototypical linebacker in the NFL these days, where you have all kinds of wide receivers. You have to have guys that can run and a guy that can play 3 downs on the field. Do you see that? If he's there, given the need that they have with safety, linebacker, those kind of things defensively, how hard would he be to pass on?
It'd be extremely difficult, and I want to make this clear. Isaiah Simmons is about as good as it gets as a defensive prospect. Like you said, he can play all spots. You see most safeties who are 3-way players. I call them 3-way players, guys that can play in the slot, play outside, and play deep. Simmons is all 4, so he can do those 3 things, plus he can get after the quarterback. That's as versatile as it gets. But I'm going to say this about Simmons. If he's there at 10, and I don't think it's that outlandish that he could be there. All that would need to happen would be a run of quarterbacks and then a run of tackles. 3 quarterbacks, 3 tackles, a wide receiver, Chase Young, Okudah. You're in a world where Simmons is there at 10. Here's why I don't think the Browns can take him. Because this draft needs to focus more on need than best available. I'm all for accumulating talent, but this offense is pretty close. And again, I know Browns fans are going to be scarred still from last year and all the hype, but I'm cool with saying that this offense is not that far away from being one of the more complete units in the offensive line, or in the offensive side of the football in the NFL, specifically the offensive line. We know what they got with Conklin. They already got solid center and left guard in Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader. They're going to address right guard, and then they're just a left tackle away from having one of the better units in the league. So I think you got to get that left tackle, as I said earlier, and then you get into all the scenarios with Simmons. I could see them taking Simmons at 10 and maybe landing a guy like Trent Williams. Those are things we can get into. There's a lot of different ways that Simmons works and the left tackle works. But again, these are 4 of the best prospects we've seen in a long time on rookie deals rather than paying a guy like Trent Williams. Just get your guy. So if Simmons is there, I know it's hard to pass on him, but you got to get your guy at left tackle, I think.
And the other thing that's coming out, Jamal Adams, a pretty good young safety who will eventually have to get paid here pretty quickly. Jets were willing to trade him at the trade deadline last season. Now there's some rumblings that they may be willing to trade Jamal Adams, really good safety again. And the 3 teams that Jamal Adams being linked to are the Cowboys, Ravens, and Browns. So if it costs the Browns something other than that 10th pick, could you see the Browns going out and getting a guy like Jamal Adams to plug into this defense?
Yeah, I think Jamal Adams makes a lot of sense. We just talked about Isaiah Simmons, and that's who Jamal Adams already is, and a proven commodity in the NFL. And like you said, if it's a 10 pick, I don't see the Browns doing that. But if we're talking 41, one of the thirds, and maybe David Njoku, giving Sam Darnold another weapon, a guy who's still a young tight end who has potential, but the Browns don't necessarily need. Now we're talking. It can't be that 10 pick, but Jamal Adams is who Isaiah Simmons hopes to be soon and probably will be soon. So if you can land a guy like that, a disgruntled superstar, him and the Jets have gone back and forth. Like you said, last trade deadline, he's like, I should be up there with the Tom Brady's and Aaron Donalds of the world. He thinks that highly of himself, and the tape backs it up with him. So that'd be pretty exciting if the Browns can land a guy like that because the defense needs it desperately.
Let's shift our focus from the 10th overall pick. Who are some guys to keep an eye on later in the draft, and maybe some guys you think that might be steals for the Browns, just what they need and guys to keep an ear out for during this draft?
Yeah, so we actually just came out with our perfect draft, so I'll just say that we'll start at 41. I think Ashton Davis, a safety out of Cal, is going to be a Earl Thomas, Eric Weddle type player. He can play deep third in Joe Woods' cover 3 scheme. He can come down and stop the run, even though he's smaller, 6'1", 205. Think Eric Murray, but with world-class speed. This kid ran at Cal. It's actually how he made the football team. He walked on, didn't play football till his third year there. He's an All-American sprinter, Pac-12 champion, has the third fastest hurdle time in Cal history. So you get that world-class speed with a smart, talented safety. I think Ashton Davis at 41 is a guy you look for. And as we're going down here, I just have a list of steals. I just wrote this the other day. Tyler Johnson, who I talked about once before, a wide receiver out of Minnesota. I think finding the next guy after Odell and Jarvis makes sense. Tyler Johnson's not going to blow you away vertically, but he wins at the line and he wins at the top of his routes, and that's the name of the game right now in the NFL. Get open in man coverage. He can do that. Robert Hunt, he's a offensive tackle, but he'll convert to guard probably from Louisiana. He's a 4th, 5th round guy with some size. I like Omar Bayless also. He's a receiver. He's more of a 6th, 7th round guy where if they don't address receiver at all, you could maybe find a guy late. He led the nation in receiving yards. Played small Arkansas State, so you wonder how it translates there. I'll throw out a tight end also, Cheyenne O'Garity of Arkansas. This kid is as big as they get at tight end, really. 6'6", 250. What worries you about O'Garity, what I've been reading, he was dismissed from the team in November. Arkansas had a tough year. He was one of the leaders and then just walked away. So I'm sure teams have been doing their research, their intel on that. And if he's not a character guy and that was just a weird one-off, this kid could be the steal of the draft at tight end. You know, there's some names out there that are going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round, and you put on the tape of O'Garity, and he's as good as those guys. But the character issues are what concerns you. So I like O'Garity in a later round, probably a 6th round pick there. And then one more I want to throw out there. Chase Claypool, his name had some rise after the combine, Notre Dame wide receiver. He's a tweener, could be a receiver, could be a tight end. It might cost too much to get him. He might be a 2nd round guy. But if he's there in the 3rd round, he's a 6'4", 240 prospect that is going to go up and win a jump ball. And the Browns really don't have a guy like that in their roster. So those are some – this is why this time of year is so fun, because it's the sleepers, it's the can't-miss guys, and we're going to have to wait and see, but we're going to find out soon.
Ellis Williams, beat reporter, Cleveland Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com with some of his steals for the draft. Again, you can find that on cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. On the other side of break, Ellis will join us. He mentioned Paul DePodesta addressed the media. We'll talk a little bit about that, as well as some other things going on with the Browns as we get ready for the NFL draft on Thursday. More sports and Les Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition will be right back after this timeout. Stay with us.
You love it, always wanted it, and there's never been a better time to get Nature Stone than during our Spring Weather Breaker sale. We're breaking spring sales records with up to half off beautiful Nature Stone garage floors, patios, porches, and more. Correct cracked, uneven concrete that thin paints and poly coatings can't. Every Weather Breaker savings comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, and there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at naturestone.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition here on cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, Caesars came out with their win totals for NFL teams, and no surprise really, the Chiefs and the Ravens, the highest. The over-under win total for the Chiefs and Ravens, 12. 49ers and Saints, 10.5. Cowboys, Eagles, and Seahawks 9.5. And then you look down, and the Browns there with 6 other teams, the Bears, Chargers, Colts among them, 8.5. So the Browns over/under for win total for the 2020 season, 8.5. Let's welcome Ellis Williams, Browns beat reporter for cleveland.com, back in. So Ellis, 8.5 wins, you over or under with the Browns 2020 team?
Yeah, look, we all know it's way too early for these over-unders to be out, but it's Vegas, and who doesn't love a little sports gambling? So I can answer that. Look, I'll know a lot more after the NFL draft. It's obviously a huge part of the way teams build into their upcoming season and for the future, of course. But considering what the Browns did in the offseason, and you look at this roster before Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski got here, 8.5 makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to go over, but just to 9. Like, this team probably could have got to 9 last year if the coaching was a little cleaner and they could take advantage of a few more opportunities. So 9 doesn't seem that far-fetched. They've got a similar strength of schedule as last year, not as weak towards the back end, but it's not as top-heavy at the front of it either. So I'm comfortable with 9. I don't know if I'll get them in the playoffs. The playoffs are expanding now, so who knows? But 9 feels like a safe number. But for the bettors out there, trying to grind it out for that 9th win when you're betting 8.5 sounds like too much anxiety for me. So I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. 9 seems pretty accurate, but again, until you get past 6 or 500, how can you really expect much more than that from the Browns franchise? All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Paul DePodesta had a conference call with all the beat reporters. What did you take away from that? There was a lot of rumors that were circulating earlier in the week. Odell Beckham to the Minnesota Vikings, and the return was not a great one. You're actually remotely from Minnesota. What was the buzz there? I mean, it was a 2nd and a 5th is the rumored. Was Minnesota buying that, or?
Yeah, so this has been an interesting couple of days. Anytime Odell Beckham Jr. trade reports come out, Browns writers have to, pick up their phones and start doing some work. It was different for me being in Minnesota because now the Vikings are involved, and you got a whole network of my friends texting me. I think I've fielded, at least 8 to 10 texts, a bunch of DMs about Odell yesterday, and then one of my good buddies who's always a day behind the news cycle actually texted me this morning, woke me up around 8 a.m. saying, hey, is Beckham coming to the Vikings? And the message has been consistent. This isn't happening, and to bring DePodesta into this, the first question he got, of course, was about this yesterday, and he shut it down too. If you think that's what he's supposed to say, you're probably right. I'll explain quickly why you should believe him on this one. It just doesn't make any sense. First of all, Odell Beckham Jr. is coming off an injury. Teams have a really tough time getting physicals and medicals on guys right now, so there's no way they could even see how healthy Odell is. Secondly, Minnesota is really strapped with cap. They don't even have $14 million for Odell, so you'd have to make something work there. And also, the Vikings just got rid of Stephon Diggs, who has a similar skill set to Odell and is also a type of guy who truly believes the team wins when he has the ball in his hands. And that's an okay way to think. I'm just going to put it like that. I'm not going to say the guy character issues or nothing. But Stephon Diggs wants the ball, and Minnesota got a lot of picks for him. So I don't see them turning around and getting another Stephon Diggs on that team. I think Mike Zimmer wants to run the football there. And the Browns need a healthy Odell Beckham Jr. because Jarvis Landry probably isn't going to be healthy into August. So a lot is on Odell's shoulders this year on that wide receiving group. So to me, it just didn't make sense on either side. It felt like a Twitter rumor, and cleveland.com's Mary Kay Cabot, as only she can do, got to the bottom of it and found out it was false before Paul even spoke. So let's just shoot this one down, but it's draft season, so I don't think it's going anywhere.
You mentioned the challenges with medicals and getting guys, finding out that they're healthy if you're going to sign or trade for veterans. Do you think that figures into why you've seen, somebody like Trent Williams, who the Browns may be interested in, but is that a tip of the hand if they don't go and get their left tackle at 10, that the Browns may be looking at potentially signing Williams once they can do the due diligence medically with him?
Yeah, so actually, Mary Kay brought this up yesterday during one of our Football Insider shows, and she made a good point where the Browns are in a position to really explore this option with Trent Williams. They have actually been able to, before this whole coronavirus thing broke out, there was medical information out there that the cancerous bump on Williams' head was fine and he was good to go. So his medical's checked out. What worries me about Williams, and I don't have any information on this or reporting, but when you're away from the game for a year, I just wonder how much you want it. And maybe he does. Maybe he's ready to turn his career around and get a new start somewhere. Of course, his connection with Bill Callahan from Washington, now in Cleveland, drives that bus also. So there is a lot. Look, when Mary Kay says something, everyone should listen. And the connection to Bill Callahan makes a lot of sense. So if you don't see the Browns go tackle at 10, then you really got to start considering Williams, like you said. And that's what makes the draft so fun. We're just going to be reacting to it. And the Browns are a flexible team, and that's something DePodesta stressed on the phone. They're going to explore every option, and I think they've already proven that with how they handled free agency, and they're going to be active. Whether that means anything happens, who knows, but they're going to be active on those phones.
What else jumped out at you about the conference call with Paul DePodesta? What did you walk away from that going, okay?
Yeah, I thought he made a lot of sense talking about the way the Browns attacked free agency. First, he thought they did an excellent job, and if you're going to review yourself, sure, you give yourself an A+. I'm cool with that. But what stood out to me was he had a question about, hey, you guys really address the offensive side of the ball. Should we read into that with what it means you could do in the draft? And he said, no, don't look into that. It was more about the class of free agents than it was necessarily who they wanted to address and who they wanted to land. Look, a free agent class is only as good as the players in it, and they didn't feel like there were defensive guys out there worthy of the big money. I know the Jadeveon Clowney rumors are floating around, and that could come to be something, and I think the medicals on Jadeveon is another point. That's the guy I could have brought up a little earlier. But they addressed the offensive side of the ball because Conklin's as good as it gets at right tackle and he's young. You need Austin Hooper to run your offense, and that backup quarterback spot is a position they wanted to solidify, and the defensive guys weren't on the level of the offensive guys. So I thought he sounded calculated in that sense, and it just made sense simply that they spent money on offense because that's where the guys were, and the defensive side is going to get addressed later, and they've got a long-term plan there.
Now, the other thing is this draft is virtual. How big of an advantage is it that all of their guys, the front office, Andrew Berry's a young GM, Kevin Stefanski is a young head coach. DePodesta has been working remotely from California for a couple of years. How big of an advantage is this for this particular front office that, technology is something they embrace?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And DePodesta even led with that, saying, look, you guys all think I've been working from home this whole time anyway, and in a way he has been. So he's made for this. And look, Andrew Berry is 33 years old. He's probably of the generation that was, showing his parents and whatnot. And shout out to his father. He's a member of the media and OG in journalism. But, Berry is of that age where he's the computer whiz of the family. Like you said, Kevin Stefanski, 37. This draft is really geared towards the Browns compared to, let's say, like a Dave Gettleman of the New York Giants, an old school, paper and pencil type of guy. Their draft notes, like here's a folder on this guy. They're not able to do that. So I think the Browns are set up for a situation that they're comfortable in. Look, everyone's rocky right now. It's an unprecedented draft. But of all the teams in the league, the Browns have to have one of the most comfortable front offices right now, considering how virtual, literally 100% virtual this draft is going to be.
Last thing I'll ask you, Browns unveiled new uniforms, different uniforms, kind of a throwback. Just your reaction to it. And what have you heard from the people reacting to what the Browns' new unis look like?
From what I've gathered, Browns fans are ecstatic. This is what they've been waiting for ever since the 2015 debacle, if you will. I've seen enough of the Dan Labia, cleveland.com writer, has the picture with all their hoods up in the orange and the reveal. And it's kind of clown now, but from what I've gathered from friends in the area, then just surfing Twitter, people seem really happy with jerseys, where they needed to go. It's a classic look. What I thought was interesting with the jerseys is the Browns have had, they're one of the most historic teams in the NFL. And then you look at the Packers and like the Raiders, Cowboys, teams that really don't change their jerseys much. The Browns historically follow those franchises, Jim Brown, etc. So they never should have changed what they had, And I guess we all drift away sometimes to come back to our center, and that's where the Browns are now. One thing I will say is maybe some orange pants, orange jersey. I think they went a little safe and didn't take a risk of throwing one dart, like a Seahawks lime green type of thing. Maybe it wouldn't have worked, but when you nailed it as good as the Browns did, I think you could have took a little risk with some orange there. But overall, it's tough to hate on him. It's a clean look.
All right, Ellis Williams, we appreciate the insight. Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com. I'm sure we will be checking back in with Ellis Thursday for the NFL Draft. That'll do it for us on this edition of More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. As I mentioned, we will be here for a Draft Night special Thursday night, 8 o'clock. Les Levine. He will also have Mary Kay Cabot, Dan Lobby, as well as Ellis Williams and Doug Lesmerises with us, all of the Cleveland Browns beat reporters from here on cleveland.com. Want to also remind you that Les Levine will be along back in the chair Monday from 6 to 7. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. We will see you Monday and then again Thursday for the NFL Draft Show.